Well, there you have it. Yeah.
From school.
Right.
Well, there you have it. Well, and I tell you, there's another really positive thing going on here, and that's on the front page. If you look at the little numbers at the bottom, in 2011, Rasmussen Reports did a survey on our, and they called them anti-poverty programs. It's the same stuff. 49% of Americans believe that anti-poverty programs actually increase the level of poverty. Now we've explained why, and we've gone through the numbers and done all of that, but most people, half the nation knows that on their own. And why is that? Well, it's because they've got, acquaintances, they have neighbors, they have sometimes family members. They live with this. I've lived with this. You've lived with this. You know how hard it is to get people in and out of these programs. You know that something's broken intuitively. Another 19% say that these programs have no impact on the level of poverty. Think about that. 19% of the nation says, yeah, it's not going to have an impact on poverty. Only 20% say these programs work and lower poverty, and the rest don't know. So think about that. 49% plus 19% is 2/3 of the nation say that these programs either do nothing or more harm than good. So we have a lot to work with here. We really do. We just have to get enough information out there, and I think that this is a house of cards for the American people to say enough already. When we're worried about our debt, when we see this kind of chaotic thing, I think that this is not as hard to do as we think. It's very difficult to get Washington to raise it. Our elected officials are running around raising money and trying to win elections and doing all that. There's not a lot of leadership there, but a little bit of grassroots, I think, would go a long way. All right, if I haven't convinced you yet, I'm calling in the heavyweights. I'm calling in Benjamin Franklin. Let's take a look at that one together. Hard to imagine that he could say words 200 plus years ago that are so relevant today. Let's just read it together if you don't mind. Benjamin Franklin said, to relieve the misfortunes of our fellow creatures, it's concurrent with the deity. Yeah, I'll interrupt you right there. Isn't that right? Isn't that right? We all want to help the poor. We want to help the misfortunate. We're not after being hard people that don't do that. For heaven's sakes, we have a heart, and I think Benjamin Franklin is exactly right. It is concurrent with the deity. But, and here's where Ben Franklin added a big exception. If we provide encouragement for laziness and supports for folly. Do you love those words? We understand laziness, but supports for folly. I love that. May we not be found fighting against the order of God and nature, which perhaps is appointed one, misery is the proper punishments for, cautions against, necessary consequences of idleness and extravagance. Two more very good words, aren't they? Idleness, extravagance, folly, and laziness. I know what that means. You know what that means. Just a couple weeks ago, I had a young 20-year-old come up to me, all ready to go into the business world and wanted to start at the top. I said, you got to start at the bottom here. You got to work really hard to get up there because you don't know enough yet. And she was just as mad as could be. And I would label that thinking extravagant. It doesn't work that way. Anytime anybody's trying to get a lot of money in this world without hard work, that's folly. That's extravagant.
Let's run them out of Washington.
And then the last haunting sentence. Whenever we attempt to amend the scheme of providence, to interfere with the government of the world, we need to be very circumspect, lest we do more harm than good. Folks, I think we're doing more harm than good, and I think it's time to fix it. So anyway, thank you very much for listening to me spout on. I appreciate it.